here, taking on red side. They take the Udyr instead because I know Gen.G aren't going to take Kench themselves.
And I don't even think you want to go for the Kench as Damwon here. You just leave that support to R5 and then you pick something insane coming through. This I love though, because I think the Hecarim and the Orianna is one of the strongest 2v2 combinations that you can get. They augment each other so well. If you could get Senna as well, that would be actually perfect, but that unfortunately does go over to Damwon Kia.
Yeah, but they also deny the Orianna from the synergy with the Udyr as well, which is another thing that does work out very nicely. Showmaker showing us. Here's Akali that was banned in the second round, 2 games in a row, but it's changed from Akali to Tahm Kench. Talk about the biggest letdown of a draft.
I mean, you know, it's been banned quite a bit, obviously, in this series, the Akali. The Tahm Kench coming through here, I think, is, even though it's not necessary, it does give you an insane amount of safety. It allows you to empower Ghost, once again, who's been arguably the best Senna player in the LCK this season. Now you get the Rel ban away from Tristana. Sure, you didn't take the Alistar this time, but you deny the Rel.
I think Teddy would have something to say about the Senna situation. However, I think that, you know, win rates are going to dictate a very similar fact as, yep, a couple of support bans to come through here as Rel and Rakan taken away, and there's that Akali ban that we were looking for. One final ban, possibly against Khan here, as, you know, they could take away something of his top lane champion pool.
And an interesting note is that the Thresh has just kind of dropped out of the pick and ban priority, and it makes a lot of sense with the Jinx not being nearly as prevalent, and Life's performance, I don't think he was the problem in that first game, but he also definitely wasn't the solution, right? The Thresh not providing the safety that they really needed. And going into the Tahm Kench, I would love if they actually go for something like the Karma. If they go for a support, they can shove in this Senna Tahm Kench lane, because this is, unlike the Heimerdinger, a lane that actually is very susceptible to getting shoved in. Get that prio early, because I think Gen.G's problem last game was 100% had nothing to do with the draft. It had nothing to do, it was just the mental. It was literally the one play from Clid. After that, I think you put it best, Wolf. They stopped playing to win and they started playing not to lose.
Yeah.
You can't do that against Damwon Kia. The problem is that this time Damwon Kia's composition, like the late game, is just, it's utterly disgusting.
They're going all in on it with the Victor pick here too, you know, you're just going to play for the stable scaling, and I mean, if you pick Sion here, like, what are you even trying to say?
Does Khan have the Cho'Gath in his wheelhouse is the question, as Ornn is of course Rascal's tank of choice, and we are going once again scaling.
It feels like game one. It feels like game one, though. You know, if you're going to play this style against Damwon Kia, you're fighting fire with fire, but they have the bigger fire. They're the team that fights better in these late game fights, right? They're the best 5v5 fighting team in LCK and potentially in the world. And so I would have liked something different here. I would have liked something more aggressive. We'll see the Alistar come through. I mean, you have really nice initiation. You have decent scaling on your side as Gen.G, but you're going to have the same range problem that we saw last time.
I don't know if I agree with that. I actually think that the Tristana and the Orianna augment way better. The only thing is the Hecarim, right? That's the only pick where you're playing into a Victor and into a Tahm Kench and you're not very happy. Of course it happens. I'm not even going to talk about it. It is not surprising to anyone whatsoever. But the Tristana and the Orianna, this time you actually have a composition that can be slow and be fine, right? This is not an Aphelios that needs to be close to his opponents to actually do something. This is not a Syndra. This is an Orianna that skills insanely well, that can decide fights with a single shockwave. And the range from Ruler, he didn't win, but he wasn't the problem, okay?
Oh, 100%. Ruler was absolutely amazing. But once again, it's one of these mitigating bot lanes out of Damwon Kia. Like, how much can Ruler actually do to extend an advantage in the earlier stages? Yes, they have probably one of the best early game 2v2s on the bottom side of the map that you can get. But it's into center Tahm Kench. What are you supposed to do?
I mean, it's really tough. I mean, later on, too, Showmaker is just going to be so difficult to kill with the front line that Damwon Kia have. You can't get on top of him. And when you start to exchange, like if you use your initiation tools, maybe you see a flank from Clid, you see Orianna use the shockwave, Ornn's Ornhorn comes out. But then after that, it's like, what do you do then? Because now you're going to have Victor Death Rays coming at you. The scaling is great on the side of Damwon Kia. They have so much range with the Senna. They have the healing as well in those kind of exchanges we saw around the Drake in Game 1. Game 1, I think, teaches us that if you try to outscale Damwon Kia, you're going to have a bad time the later the game goes on.
I think the big difference for me is that I see this draft as being on even footing in terms of range. Yes, the Sion, the Senna, the Victor are insane, but so are the Tristana and the Orianna. And I think that the early game that we saw last time was actually a good sign for Gen.G. It's just the mental for me.
Well, let's see whether they can mentally get themselves back into this series. I think everyone wants more than 3 games. Damwon Kia are poised to take this. Let's get into game 3. And here we are onto the Rift for the third and possibly the final game. Is Ruler already getting licked by Beryl? Exhaust being invested, actually, as Ruler has taken Rocket Jump as his first skill. Another reminder to all those at home is don't skill things up early. Nope. It's a bad move.
And this is really big for what you want to do, because I said earlier, as Ruler and Life, you want to take control of the wave, because Alice's level 1 is not great, but if you have Explosive Shot, you automatically push the wave, you hit level 2 earlier, then you can actually threaten. And now with Rocket Jump, I think that's also why Beryl went for the exhaust. It makes it so much harder. You know you're never going to kill the Tristana there, but just the fact that she has to scale W means your early laning presence is not as great. And as you pointed out so succinctly, Atlas, that is one of the openings. And that's something that I was looking towards for Gen.G.
Yeah.
I think this is actually a really good call from Damwon Kia. I mean, they know how to set up a winning lane, or rather, they're not losing one, right, where things can't snowball against you early on. With a play like this, you can see they're already here. They're going to push for level 2 first. There's just nothing you can do as Gen.G, unfortunately, in this moment. And look at the wave manipulation, pushing it already towards the turret. So smart. And, you know, for Gen.G, this is not out of the ordinary. This is not unexpected. It's just something you're going to have to deal with.
He gets the XP just because of the Rocket Jump.
Yep.
That's a win.
There we go. That's a huge win.
Take those.
Maybe he got an extra couple of autos as well to help Clid move through his jungle a little bit faster. Of course, Hecarim going to be slower than the Udyr. This matchup, actually, in Korea especially, is very Udyr favored. It's actually crazy just how much more winning he's done when we do put a little bit more priority on getting the horse. Just hasn't necessarily found its way to the victories.
Yeah, it hasn't translated as many wins. I want to talk about Khan for a moment, because this is a player that is in the shadow of Nuguri a lot of the time, right, in terms of fan expectations. He came in this year, and people weren't sure how he was going to do. He played very well in Kespa Cup, and now he's played the Scion, right? And everyone's called him a one-champ Scion, but he's playing it again, this iconic champion. I think people will remember this season as the season of Khan Scion, right? And this is something that Valdez talked about very early on in the season about, oh, he's got to be banning this, they've got to be drafting around this. And we've moved into a world where this is more meta around everybody. It's even been played mid. And yet here we still end up in game 3, which could be the last game in this finals, with Khan on Scion. He gets away with it here. They have a comp that scales really well. And Damwon Kia, you just can't beat him in draft, it feels like. They have a draft for everything.
And that early pressure by Beryl has now translated in Damwon Kia gets full control of the wave. If they want, they can go for a reset here, or they can just go for aggressive harassment. And then the wave is going to bounce back. They might be able to force Ruler and Life to like walk up. Canyon is in the bot side. He's going to get a scuttle crab clear and then can look for a play. It's just... It snowballs so effectively.
This is just ridiculous, actually, as Life comes in to pole the wave, but there's nothing that they can do. It feels like Gen.G are getting 100% suffocated.
It all goes back to that exhaust in the early parts. I mean, you start to set that up. You could see that plays like that are what Damwon Kia are looking for to make sure that this lane just ends up being a wash for Gen.G. And that's what they've been doing in a lot of these drafts as well. I mean, we go back to the Heimerdinger pick in game 1. You're just trying to make sure the Thresh pick isn't valuable. There were other issues for Life, of course, as that game went on, but really nicely played.
Yeah, and I want to go back and sort of harken on this Damwon Kia drafting kingdom that they've been able to put together, because it's not about, like, we talk about drafts, we talk about recognizing your win conditions, but almost as important is recognizing your opponent's win conditions, and not necessarily just based on the champions that they've chosen, but based on the players that they have, right? And when you're a team like Gen.G and you've got Ruler and you rely on Ruler, finding ways to mitigate his power in a draft is one of the most important. This is something Koma has had a lot of experience in, and has been, of course, you know, affected negatively in times in the past. And this is actually just beautifully well handled by Damwon Kia throughout this. And I think that game 2, I think gameplay-wise, it wasn't the greatest from Damwon Kia, especially in the early stages, but the way that they found their way back in was just ridiculous. As Canyon looking for BDD.
Yeah, here he goes.
Now, can he actually find it? Not looking for any flashes or anything like that, wanting to put the pressure on. As he can see, his Ghost takes a bit of explosive shot damage. Otherwise, he's going to be okay.
I think it was just out of range to forcing the flash trade as Ruler.
Yep, Canyon's booking it down here. Rocket Jump already on cooldown. Flash has to be used from Life, but he gets in position to peel, and that's going to be enough to scare away the Udyr.
And of course, with the Hack Splash, you don't feel as bad about that as you normally would. We see that Ruler and Life now have also regained control of the wave. A sneaky Dragon being started up here by Canyon.
Yeah, without Prio, but they know that, you know, with no Flash here, it's, you know, like you said, it's not the end of the world, but
X-Flash, like you were talking about, misses it onto Ghost. Rocket Jump comes down. And you can see they were trying to bait something in. Clid waiting. But he was on a ward the whole time.
And now this Udyr pick has gotten value massively in 2 lanes early on, and he gets the Drake, right? Canyon is able to almost force a flash in mid, comes down here, nearly allows a play to happen here. He doesn't get either kill, but because of that extra pressure, he's able to sneak away a Drake, and this Udyr pick has just been so good for him this year, and I mean, I feel like this is something that if you're proactive enough, you can really start to change the game early.
And that lane positioning, it is so safe for Ghost and Barrel, literally goes back to that level 1. And here we see one of the reasons why Damwon Kia, especially in their Worlds run, when and also I think in game number 1 of this series, is you give them the tiniest of advantage and they will use it to literally, like, you know, like the move where like you grab someone's finger and then you like turn it into a chokehold somehow. That's Damwon Kia, right? Because they play so well around these wave manipulations and about these trading patterns and these aggressions that they found. And now all of a sudden, one of the big entry points, Ruler was what did he end up, like 10-2 and 8 or something?
Yeah,
absurd?
It was like 9-0-6 mid-game. Right?
It was crazy. And he wants to carry. He's like, I got Tristana again. I was so close to carrying that game. If I had vision in that brush that one time when they flashed in, might have been different, right? And that's the player that then all of a sudden can't make the play work.
Canyon's here, by the way. Back, yeah, BDD could be in trouble. Has to flash, but Canyon's there with his Chaos Storm. Might just tick down, and it does, as Clid now finds himself on the wrong side of this one as well. He's going to move on back. Canyon in a little bit of trouble, but he's just going to get a puff of fire from his Phoenix form.
I feel like I couldn't count on, like, if I put all of our 15, wait, how many hands do we have together? We have 6 hands, yeah, so
15?
30 fingers, whatever.
Right, okay.
I don't know where I was going with this, but anyway, don't do math on stream, don't do math on the cast.
Yep.
I feel like it's just been so often that we see this Udyr pick always punish the aggressive mid laner. It happens so many times, and it's a big problem. We see it here once again. Now Showmaker has this insane extra accelerated state towards this extremely powerful late game he's going to have because he has First Blood. And BDD has to flash. He loses flash. Showmaker has flash. So what's Clid going to do now in the mid lane? The mid lane now is so safe for Showmaker and for Damwon Kia. It's small plays like this. You think you're going to make a trade here as BDD. You're like, oh, okay, I'm Orianna. He's low on mana. But if you don't know where Clid is, actually they knew where, or rather, you knew where he is. You can't be making plays like this. I thought he didn't know, but in fact, Clid was dueling him. So maybe that's why he thought he was safe. But guess what? He was not.
Maybe it's just another underestimation of just how fast the Udyr can run.
Zoom, zoom.
He does definitely do some zooming. I think the Twitch chat could have told him very comfortably exactly what Udyr is capable of. As speaking of Udyr, he's now looking for Rascal, gets himself another flash as the train's not going to do it, but maybe the decimating smash will. Waits for the end of the Bellows Breath, and Rascal is going to fall down. Damwon Kia, they've really started this very cold ball rolling down the hill.
This is a late game draft from Damwon Kia. This is not a draft that has to win early. They can just scale up comfortably and be fine. They're winning every single lane. Top lane, winning. Mid lane, sure, BDD has a small CS advantage, but above that kill, Showmaker is ahead. Bot lane, Senna Kench is winning, right? Like, these situations are not sustainable for Gen.G. They need to find a win, and they need to find it quick.
Showmaker's here. I don't know if you can fight this as Gen.G.
Yeah, Life is actually going to get over here earlier, as we do have the Abyssal Voyage getting Beryl a bit closer, but he's not quite there in the fight just yet. Shelly's going to reset. The orb needs to be respected.
No flash for BDD.
Yeah, this is really dangerous. Not a lot of summoner spells, actually. Rascals is down. Clid's Ghost is not there. Speaking of Ghost, he's moving towards the bottom lane, looking for some plates. They do not want to give the Tristana a free lane, and now Ruler looks to be going back home. We'll see whether there another lane swap is going to come out here from Gen.G to try and fix what is a really, really difficult situation.
Yeah, it's not just the extra value that Ruler gets, you know, a little bit of extra value to Showmaker there on the lane. And just barely going to be caught up there by BDD. Doesn't catch that wave, but we're going to take a look back at this moment here. Forcing out a flash super early, and then waiting to the end of the Bella's Breath, as you mentioned. And Khan just does not miss these smashes. He has hit so many critical ones at maximum range. You cannot underestimate, or you can't, I mean, you really just shouldn't underestimate how early game Udyr can crush these lanes. And Gen.G have not respected them twice now.
Yeah. And maybe it would have been smarter for Rascal to, you know, deny the Scion instead of taking the Ornn, but he went for what he's more comfortable with. As now he's just watching the Udyr take the Rift Herald.
And you can see the lack of confidence like come through from the entirety of Gen.G, right? Like every lane is gonna punish at this point. So Rule is playing on the back foot, right? They're not getting any plates. Barrel's literally single-handedly just zoning them off a turret. This is Tristana. You want to do nothing more than play aggressive. Now they give up Rift Herald, and yes, Drake is spawning in 4 seconds, rather, but I don't even think they can go for it because the entirety of Damwon Kia is already heading down.
Yep, Showmaker's going to come on over. BDD might be enclosed on here.
No flash.
Canyon's going to get sped up. Clid decides that he wants to deny this as Shockwave going to get flashed. Now the train's coming in, but it's a very long way away from the station right now. And Khan is going to have to stop a little bit earlier to refuel. So he's going to grab this mid lane, and the Ocean has now been started by Damwon Kia.
If you weren't going to fight, you certainly aren't now.
No.
Well, BDD going to clear out this mid lane, and like you were saying, it is just going to be that Drake secured by Damwon Kia. Rascal will get some farm on the top side. That is certainly good news, but that is a silver lining on a pretty dark cloud.
I'm starting to see the impact that final game has had on Gen.G, right? Because this is looking like game number 1. In game number 2, Gen.G won an early game against an early game comp, right? They were playing incredibly well. They were not afraid. They made plays. They were consistently able to find punishes in lanes. Now they're getting punished, literally starting from minute 1. And it's, I don't even think that like the lack of play, that they don't have any plays available to them, but they're playing like they don't have anything, right? And that is the problem. And that is what Damwon Kia does so well, is this feeling of slowly taking away any resource, any opening, any possibility that you might ever look for counterplay. And then instead, as Gen.G, you're just sitting here slowly losing the game.
Yeah, this is a team that doesn't have, I feel like, fans that trust that they're going to be able to do it in these high-pressure situations. I think if you're a Gen.G fan, you're happy you got that. Oh, Ghost.
Speaking of which, Rule is trying to change your mind there as Ghost throws out the ultimate to try and keep himself alive. Now flashes, Buster Shot comes in as Ghost is burning, but it's not enough. Showmaker gets in with the teleport, BDD as well, not able to change the game state whatsoever, but they do manage to get the flashes, or at least one flash, out of the bottom lane of Damwon Kia. And Khan has said, to hell with laning. I'm heading behind your turret, and I'm taking all your stuff.
Yeah, and it ends up being a nice trade, but to go back to my original point, I feel like this is a team that, you know, Samsung won Worlds, right? But besides that, this team has never won an LCK title.
Not since the rebrand, right?
Yeah, and even on Samsung, they only won Masters, they never won an LCK. As this is going to be Rift Herald crashing through.
Yeah, we're looking to see whether we can stop Shelly from being able to do the work, but she gets rid of the turret here as Khan trying to mitigate it, but it's not going to be quite enough. Showmaker and BDD now fighting, and BDD is smashing this Victor. The flash on forward, gets himself the shield though. Death Ray's decent, but Rascal was there. There was no way he was getting out. A solo kill for the Orianna, catching the Victor in the river.
And it's the first time we see Damwon Kia get punished for overextending. They want to make a play around that Rift Herald, are able to get the crash down, sure, but they give up 2 kills for it, and this might be the lifeblood that Gen.G need in this game.
Yeah. Let's watch this happen again. You can see, if you look at the minimap here in the river, the rotation coming through, BD actually has positional advantage. He has the fast track. And I guess we're probably going to split the replay into 2. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but you could see there's a ward here. When Showmaker still knows where BDD is, ends up getting caught here, and then immediately shockwaved. You don't win this 1v1, unfortunately. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, even with the Death Ray as well.
Yeah, the Death Ray missing is a big problem.
Could have been the difference maker, but of course, hindsight is 20/20, and as we get back into live, it is still a 2,000 gold lead here for Damwon Kia. But maybe a stem to the bleeding here for Gen.G.
I think what's most important here is we're not looking at the gold. We're not looking at like the actual games. We're looking at the Gen.G like mentality meter, right? Like how well are they feeling in this game? I'm not even joking. This game, you can go to late game with this draft. Like you can argue over who has the advantage, right? But an Orianna and Tristana with a front line, you always be fine, especially with Ornn. You just need to actually play the game. And I think that plays like this are pivotal in giving Gen.G some confidence back and have them actually do stuff. And they're doing stuff, and that's good. I think Damwon Kia still very clearly have an advantage. If they start stacking Mountain Drakes, this game is going to go downhill very, very quickly, and that's something that Gen.G need to avoid.
And I worry for the future of Gen.G and for the fans as well. If they end up losing this series 0-3 after what was a very nice lead in game 2, like, will the fans ever be able to trust after this? I mean, this is something that, I know you were very vehement about, Atlas, throughout the season, where, especially towards the end, we were like, well, if they end up facing T1, can they do it? No one really predicted them to take that win. They had an upset win there, but you just don't trust Gen.G in these high high-pressure situations, and you especially don't trust them after losing that second game that was such a nice lead for them. And now, I mean, like you said, getting a kill like that for BDD is certainly good, but is it enough?
Well, we'll see. As Khan looking to wrap around this turret, might get caught out of position just a little bit, but he has a train. He's able to get away if he would like to, and now the rest of Damwon Kia are going to rotate around as well. 50 seconds on this first Mountain Drake, and of course, Soul Point for Damwon Kia already. As the gold lead, not much to talk about, and like you were saying, Chronicle, I think it is important for Gen.G to recognize that this game is by no means over in any way, right? The lead is there for Damwon Kia, but it's not insurmountable as Ruler finds himself on his own just a little bit here. Damwon Kia, they do still have one of these compositions like in Game 1 where they can stand around a dragon and sustain themselves up.
Yeah, it's really hard if they actually are able to entrench themselves. 20 seconds to go on that dragon. All they need to do is clear this wave.
And I want to see what Ruler can do in this fight, because the damage from Damwon Kia is actually decently low. You're looking at Ghost and Showmaker, who is still ramping up. And if you can find a good wombo combo on either of those, with Beryl not there, you can win this fight as Gen.G.
Well, a nice double knockup, actually. So much damage onto Ruler. And Damwon Kia might think of this as an opportunity, but no, they decide just to hold on, and they say, well, Gen.G, get your health back if you can. We're going to start this dragon.
My bad. Showmaker and Ghost might not be like Khan is. The best mainly smashes enough that. Is this a lethality side? Have I not been paying attention?
Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Are we going to get another Scion most damage in the game situation like Khan has done in the past? I don't know. As this Mountain Drake is going to get held onto now by Gen.G, but Khan finds himself off to the side, but they've left the bottom lane to the Wolves. Life gonna have to get away. He flashes on top of Ruler and makes him stunned. It's not what you want as the death ray. The value is just massive. Khan's still alive somehow. Not entirely sure how that one worked as I stopped looking at that bottom side fight, and now the rest of Damwon Kia are just closing in on Gen.G. BDD's the target. You know exactly what Beryl was looking for as the Shockwave finds no value. The Devour's beautiful under Ghost, who repositions flawlessly, and Clid is left without any friends.
And this is what we expect right after a game 2 like that. You expect Damwon Kia to come in and crush game 3. No one expects Gen.G to recover. You hope they do. You hope for the best LCK finals of all time, but this is just not it. You could see Khan was at the perfect position. He denied Clid from rotating in, zoned him out, and as soon as BD dropped his ball on the right side of the fight, dropped it onto Khan, Damwon Kia collapse in. It's an easy peasy win for them onto the bot side duo.
Well, Clid looking for a little bit of an answer here onto Khan, who almost has the train back available. You can see the positioning though, and that will mean that there is no way out. The teleport can come through from Gen.G as well as Beryl. He has, he's not going to be able to get him out of there, as of course Devour makes you very, very slow and doesn't want to give away a double kill. Not bad. Good idea there from Damwon Kia to mitigate.
Soul Point over to Damwon Kia, and this lack of cohesion in team fights, this mispositioning where the team is so split up, this is not something we see from Gen.G. We praised them for their team fight. You can criticize the draft, you can criticize some of the early games and kind of their slow approach, but their team fighting is always really good. But here,
they're so caught apart.
Oh my god, Life flashes over and he roots Ruler, right? And these are the type of moments you cannot have happen. If Ruler can join the rest of their team, you might be fine. Trying to get through a sign at this point in the game without your Tristana is never ever happening. And instead, we get this elongated fight. Drake gets given over. There's a Soul Point now.
They're looking for Baron too. I mean, look at the vision control they have here.
Yeah, the rest of Gen.G are moving on over. Of course, it's not Baron just yet. Getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, as of course Shirley is the one available. But now in goes Clid. They do manage to find the center in the back line, but the horse may have given himself up. That's a good knock up, but they do manage to trade. Showmaker now finds himself some darkness as BDD in trouble. He will fall down as Ruler manages to pick up the kill on the Tom Kench. Rascal is trying to get away though, and there's no way you're escaping this Udyr, who says you're dead. A triple kill actually for this Victor, and they get the slow onto Ruler. That's the quadra for Showmaker. He got solo killed earlier, remember, by the way, and he's now just rolling over this game.
What will be the irony? Ruler called for a penta for him in the trash talk video, right? He's never been a penta. Yeah. What if Showmaker would have gotten it there? They got so close. And the gold lead is just absurd.
I mean, you're taking a fight over, I did get ahead of myself. It was not a Baron, of course, at this stage.
I can understand why you were getting ahead of yourself, though, because it feels like we're getting to this team fight territory.
Well, we had the third Drake at, 16 minutes or 17 minutes into the game. I mean, Damwon Kia have had such a lead. They've been snowballing these objectives. You cannot be here.
Ruler
he gets hit by that root, that's the end of it. But
I think he's scared Ghost. Ghost just wasn't expecting him to be there.
you take this fight, right? You take this exchange over a second Rift Herald here, and your composition hasn't fully come online yet. Neither has, but obviously Damwon and Kia have a pretty nice lead. I don't know about this type of commitment, this heavy of a commitment, because now you've given Damwon and Kia the opportunity to really turn things around. Sure, you get the opening pick, and that's all of the damage gone, but then you chase way too far here.
But also they're split, right? Life and Ruler are off fighting just Beryl on his own, and so that means that their man advantage is ineffective.
Yeah, it's the same thing that we saw in the last fight, where your target selection is just not correct.
And it's something that has been a consistent problem for Gen.G throughout this entire game. This is not the same mistake we saw them make in the last 2 games. They keep overcommitting, they keep trying to force something. And I'm starting to feel like if this gold lead balloons further, it's going to be insurmountable. Like, there is a point where Damwon Kia just gets so far ahead that even if you do get onto Showmaker, you're fine. But then the problem becomes, there's a top Kench, there's a front line. Showmaker is 6-1 in 3, and you cannot lose any Drake fight from here on out.
Yeah, it's felt like Showmaker has been 100% inevitable this whole series. I thought maybe when he got caught walking in the river there, misses a death ray, maybe he's showing some signs of weakness. Comes back and says, Atlas, I'll just give you a quadra kill to make you feel as stupid as possible. And I'm happy to feel that because he's been so good throughout this series after struggling with, you know, his wrist being a problem, things like that, having some ups and downs, right? You remember Lava being able to school him in that mid lane in that Bro series that we all remember back to. Not happening here. This is the consistency that Showmaker showed when he became the world champion.
There were some concerns, right? I mean, for me, if I had to point fingers at one person I thought might have an underperformance, I thought it might be Showmaker. Not to say that he's had a bad season or anything like that, but his lows have been low, right? But not tonight, not in this series, not when it matters most. And he's showing up big time here. Once again on this Victor, the scaling is so good for Damwon Kia with this advantage.
And to win a team fight here, as Damwon, or as Gen.G rather, you need to blow up Showmaker. But you need to blow up Showmaker past a top Kench, plus an Assign, and Canyon? Like, that's just too much. So this needs to be the absolute god team fight. You're 4K goal behind. You cannot give up this Drake.
And even if you do kill him, how much damage does he do before that? Do you still win the fight after you have to force your way through? You're going to lose so much health on your way there. His positioning has been so good.
Not to mention the healing that Ghost is going to provide as well. They also need to try and pop the center at the same time.
He has TP. He's coming back in.
Yep, cleared. Still lying in wait on the flank. This is such a huge moment for Gen.G.
Away, and the Rift Herald's there too.
Yeah, and Khan is in position. Like, how he's supposed to move this Scion, I'm just not entirely sure. Cleared biding his time still, but will he be biding his time for too long? Will it be until this dragon is taken? Will it be until the Nexus falls down?
He's playing the long game, Atlas.
Yeah, this is until summer. I don't know. There it is, though. The Ornhorn does come out. Now Clid looking for the backline. Showmaker says absolutely not, as Clid just goes back to the rest of his team. Hasn't actually done too much. It's a two-man shockwave into the backline, but remember, there's a center. Ghost is absolutely fine, healing back his team, and Gen.G slowly but surely melting to Damwon Kia. That's a lot of extra damage, but there's, of course, a Devour as Rascal so low life as well, limping away. The flash devastating smash is going to come in, but not enough, as now Rascal running, but he should be able to get out with that searing charge. Beryl chasing after him as well, but in the meantime, guys, Damwon Kia are taking the Mountain Drake. They're taking the cow, and they are looking to now start breaking down Gen.G's base.
And I think we have reached that insurmountable lead now, Chronicler, that you were talking about before. I mean, we're looking at a 6,000 gold leads, 5,500 plus the dragons, the Mountain Soul, 2 mountains with the Mountain Soul, 4-0. And I mean, this is just complete control here for Damwon Kia. You can see Gen.G just have no way of team fighting at this stage.
It's a Mountain Soul with a fasting set. I mean, yeah, Beryl has both gold and a Mountain Soul, a Scion, and an Udyr, right? It's so insane to see this. And the attempt at getting the blow up on Showmaker gets cancelled by Khan. Yet again, he finds the knock-up. And that means no second activation, no knock-up on Showmaker, and that is a sign that Clint won't have the damage necessary to actually get it done. Help us alone here. If you commit, you lose. Showmaker and Ghost are untouched. And Damwon Kia just playing this so... the rest of the world is trembling if you see this team. This is insane.
Oh, yeah. And BDD's Shockwave is used defensively. That's one of your best initiations. It's one of your best tools to actually get a pick, but he has to use it defensively. And sure, not everybody gets wiped here. They only lose life. But that's a consolation prize, unfortunately, for Gen.G. That's not what you're celebrating. Damwon Kia are poised to take this game.
Yeah, the Mountain Soul is just really difficult for Gen.G to fight back to. It's a 5,000 gold lead. It's close to 25 minutes into this game. not over. I think the fat lady's warming up her larynx at this point in time. However, she is not ready to get on the mic. The Gen.G certainly... Oh no, devastating... Oh, goodbye.
That is basically it, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot get caught there. You had no vision. And I mean, it's a small mistake, but at this stage, you cannot be losing your carry for free.
That's the ruler zone.
And that's not the first time.
It's between the two turrets. He walks into the jungle. It's onward. You can't face check.
It's a disaster. Teleport from BDD. He's calling it. He's heading towards the bottom lane. That's what he wants. The Baron belongs to Damwon Kia, and we're seeing the slow collapse of Gen.G in this series. I think we saw the beginnings of it in the last game about halfway through, but this is absolutely confirmation. Damwon Kia, they haven't won yet, but it is getting so close, and it just feels like mentally Gen.G have started to retire from this series.
And this is the most predictable outcome of this series, but it's the one that hurts the most, right? Even if you're a Damwon fan, you wanted it to be earned, you wanted it to be a hard-fought series, and sure, Game 2 definitely was, but this final game, the title-winning game potentially here for Damwon Kia, is anything but the most one-sided game of the series. I mean, Ruler just has no vision, no idea whatsoever.
Jonas Strong is very good at the terrifying angles, as, yeah.
That's a set play.
I think Khan understands that is pretty close to a game-winning play as we have a look at Ruler once again as we come back to live. 8,000 gold the lead, but that is only going to balloon. 1,600 so far, but there's 2 minutes left on this Baron buff as Canyon's going to do it himself. He's like, haha. You see, Ruler, if you do it, have a much larger health bar and a very high movement speed, and then you can do it.
Just be Udyr. Oh man, I mean, Khan has impunity here. There's no one who can stop him. Rascal is actually in trouble.
Yeah, Rascal's mistimed that Bellows breath a few times. However, he's not going to get killed by the Scion.
It's a game of chicken, right? It's the same with like Jax holding his Counter-Strike to a certain point where you're like, when is he actually going to use it? It's like Fiora versus Jax, where you're waiting, and who chickens out first loses. In this case, Khan has been super diligent about hitting them every single time, and this Ornn pick, it just hasn't worked out at all. Anytime, it feels like it's less tanky, the engages aren't coming through, and it's just a throwback to a style that, against Damwon Kia, doesn't work.
Yeah, Dawning Shadow comes down, Ruler takes a lot of damage, but Canyon as well, he was tanking up the turret as well. Cleared, tries to get on top of him somehow, the Udyr is still alive thanks to Turtle Stance. BDD not going to be so lucky, Ghost finishes him off, and Gen.G running back towards their fountain, actually towards the top side as Ruler's defecting, but no, he's actually just going to go back home. Khan going to do the same thing, but he's got teleport to get himself back in. They're going to keep this minion alive. And Damwon Kia at 28 minutes into the game want to become the first franchise LCK League of Legends champions.
Khan's down.
Yeah. He's well and truly behind. The Nexus is now Showmaker is going to go golden. That's a big pulverize, but it's not onto the Victor. Life going to get burned down by the Death Ray. Ruler in a bit of trouble. Canyon is going to stun him up, and Showmaker takes the kill. Canyon was down to like, what, 1 health? All right, well, congratulations for your series MVP, Canyon. The Nexus falls down, and Damwon Kia get the 3-0 over Gen.G and will be your Spring LCK champions.